Peace and love, y'all. It's your boy Huey again. Welcome to the Shadow Talks. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, turn on y'all post notifications so y'all could see whenever I drop. But yeah, this is a little story time. Paranormal Activity. Crazy though. This story right here is way more than just this one. But this story is wild. So let me get right into it. So I was dealing with a female for a couple years, and matter of fact, I'm gonna start from So she was going to this college. She was going to this college or whatever, and how could I put this? Like, all right, so yeah, she was going to this college, but the college was old. It was like an old college. Like, she was staying on campus at the time. Old college dorm, like old. And across the street from those college dorms was an orphanage that burnt down, and kids died in it or whatever. Like, kids died in it or whatever. Like, around this area, it was like this is in that location, it's some place called Sleepy Hollow Road. So for anybody from Long Island, or if you're not familiar with Long Island, research paranormal activity, haunted situations, scenarios with Sleepy Hollow Road or whatever. So we was close in that area. Her school was close in that area. So long story short, across the street, orphanage burnt down. Kids died in that orphanage back in probably 50 years ago, 60 years ago, something like that. Then there was kids that died on a bus, like a school bus, like a bus driver caught a heart attack or some shit and drove the bus off of a cliff, and I think like 20 kids died or whatever. So that whole area was crazy haunted. So I was staying on campus with her at the time, and she left to go somewhere. Like, I forgot, she went to go get some food or something. It was nighttime. I'm laying down, and I hear a baby crying, or like a kid crying, and it kind of spooked me out, 'cause I thought somebody on campus had a kid. So I'm like, what the hell? So when she came back, I'm like, yo, there's this kid crying, like sounding like a kid crying outside. She was like, oh, I was like, anybody got kids out here? She was like, nah, nobody has kids. I'm like, this is kind of strange. So ever since that day, I felt uneasy. Ever since that day, I felt uneasy. And if you go back to the last video that I was talking about, towards the end, where I was talking about how my house was built on Indian graves, so the house I grew up in was haunted, I always had like paranormal experience encounters or whatever like that. So I guess it kind of like followed me in my adulthood, like through teens or whatever, however it works. But I learned to just live with it. It don't really bother me no more. So to fast forward, she ends up leaving campus. Like, she ends up packing her stuff and getting off campus. So I'm like, all right, cool. Pack her stuff up, and she's like, I'm about to move to my, move with my family. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll help you move with your family. She moved in with her family, and one of her aunts, she was into like heavy witchcraft or some shit like that. But I didn't really pay attention to that. And I don't even think that she had anything to do with this situation that happened at that house. And still to this day, I still think about it. Like, was it her that could have summoned that energy, or was the summoning from me being on campus with her and that kid revealing itself to me, like that spirit child revealed itself to me? Because I heard the cries. I heard it clear as day, to the point where I thought somebody had a kid on campus. I'm like, this is crazy. But she clarified it. She's like, nah, nobody has kids over here. So she ends up moving to her people's crib, renting out a room, and I remember she told me to come over one day. So I ended up going over there. We hanging out, we chilling, we having a conversation, and she was like, why do you have your shoes on? And I was like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm rude, I'm bugging. I took my shoes off, right? So I look at the bottom of my shoe, and it's a polished wooden floor because they did the floor in her room over and they polished the floor, nice wooden floor. So I take my shoe off, and underneath my shoe, I see a baby footprint underneath my shoe, like literally like on the floor. When I lift my foot up to take my shoe off, there's a baby footprint on the ground, to be descriptive. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, there's a baby here? Like, what's going on? She's like, nah. Now I'm just like, yo, I didn't think nothing of it. I'm just like, whatever. We having a conversation now. We just talking, we chilling, watching TV, whatever. And my shoes are off. I look down on the floor again. Tell me why I start seeing this baby footprint moving that's embedded into this wooden floor that was just polished. So I'm just like, yo, I pat her. I'm like, yo, look at the floor. I said, I hope you see what I'm seeing. Because, like, whenever these situations happen, people are so quick to say that you're bugging, or you drunk, or you high, you tripping. That's why I was like, yo, look on the floor. You see that? She look on the floor, and she see the baby footprint moving. She starts grabbing my arm. She's like, oh my gosh. Ah. So now we both tweaking. So as this baby footprint is moving on the ground, I put my hand down to like feel the footprint, because it looked like it almost reminded me of molasses or like syrup. It was moving slow. It was embedded in the wooden floor. So I put my hand down there to feel or whatever. And as soon as I put my hand down to feel the footprint, y'all not gonna believe this. Y'all not gonna believe this. I know y'all not. I don't know what it was, but a big black entity. It was like this big. It just popped up out of nowhere. It started bouncing off the walls in her room. Boom, boom, bing, boom, bing, 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 boom, 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 boom. Now, we screaming. We in the room. We screaming, bro. And her window was closed. The blinds was closed. And I be watching, like, the Conjuring and, like, scary movies and shit on, like, how they do stuff. So I ripped her blinds off. I ripped her, like, the drapes, whatever it was. I ripped it off. Then I opened up the window. This thing is bouncing off the walls, and it looked like it's trying to, like, go in our body or something like that. Tell me why this shit flew out the window. I swear to God, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, this shit flew out the window. Pew! So I know when a lot of people talk about, like, the Grim Reaper or, like, shadow people or just entities or whatever, this shit reminded me of the Grim Reaper. Like, that's what it looked like. But it wasn't big, though. It was like this big. It was black. It was all black. And it was just bouncing off the walls. And we wasn't high. We wasn't smoking. We wasn't drinking. We were just chilling. Went over there. That happened. I was like, that was the first time that I ever seen something so crazy. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Mind blown. After that day, I never doubted the spirit world. After that day, that's when I started tapping into my spirituality. Like, started like really tapping in, started really reading books and really understanding the essence of energy. You know what I'm saying? That was crazy shit. And she saw it with me. Me and her don't talk no more. But if I ever have a conversation with her again in life, and she ever come on this channel or whatever, y'all gonna have to scroll back and see what I was talking about, and then see what she said. Because this isn't just something I'm making up for clicks or nothing. This is a real story right here. So after that day, I end up just putting my shoes on, and I left. And she left with me. And she ended up staying in my crib. Like, after that day, she, like, packed her stuff up. She came to live with me. So she was living with me and shit. I'm just like, yo, this is wild. So I end up going back home. And now I'm tripping. I'm like, yo, I hope that that child spirit didn't latch on to me. because innocent spirits and stuff that pass away, like babies and stuff like that, that are coherent, or they were like young, maybe 5 years old, 6 years old, they end up dying like a tragic death or something, or just any child that just live a tragic death or die from an illness or something, they don't know how to come to grips with crossing to the other side, because like they're so they feel like they haven't fulfilled enough while they were alive on planet Earth, so they get stuck here, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing. So now I'm starting to think, damn, that baby that I heard at the college dorm that night wanted me to hear him or her, cause like I low key feel like it was attached to me. Like I swear to God, what are the odds that I take my shoe off and the footprint of that child, that baby, whatever, is on the ground, embedded into the floor, right underneath my shoe. So these are all the things that I have to take into account. And most people, they'll think it's a joke. They'll be like, yo, like that's crazy, but it's real. And the fact that I was able to be exposed to that level of energy kind of like put me in a space where I'm like, yo, I'm different than everybody else, because I don't really know anybody that's going through these type of things. And I know people, like I have family members that have paranormal activity conversations, but they're not on the internet talking about it, because people gonna look at you like you're crazy. Like, oh, something wrong. There's something wrong with this person. They need to go get their head checked out. They need to go, whatever. But it's different when you got somebody that's with you, that saw it with you. Like, nah, he's not bugging. I was there. Almost like the chick that I was with. She was crying. She was crying tear ducts. I told my mom about it. I told my grandma. They was just like, yo, that's crazy. And then after we ended up leaving the crib, we ended up walking back to